Hey everyone, hope y'all are doing well, and I just wanted to make a video about something that I hear a lot about or read a lot about on watch forums and watch blogs, and it's the idea of watch diameters and the age-old question: does this watch look too big for me, or is this watch too big for me? And to illustrate some points about that, I have two watches. An IWC 3717, a 42 millimeter classic chronograph by IWC, and I have this old thing. This is a Rolex 16570 Explorer II. Just two watches that are the same diameter nominally. They're both 42 millimeters in diameter, and that 42 millimeter diameter is kind of like a classic men's watch size now. It has been for the last maybe 10 or 15 years. The increase in diameter of men's watches has been happening for about 10 or 15 years. You think about the popularity of brands like Panerai, and they really, in my mind, popularized them, and Breitling, I think, really popularized the idea of larger and larger watches. Panerai's, used to start out at 44 millimeters and just go up from there, 46 millimeters. And these watches just looked enormous when they first came out, but they were very quickly accepted as a different look, as a different style. Breitlings are sort of traditionally massive. And so, 46, 48 millimeter watches, are not uncommon for those two brands. And, other brands followed suit. If that's what the fashion of the day is, if that's what the style is, then, other brands are going to follow suit. The 3717 is a good example of how watch sizes have increased. This watch has been produced for years and was recently replaced by the reference 3777, which is a 43 millimeter diameter watch. So, about the same size, just a little bit larger than this. But the 3717, this 42 millimeter version, replaced a 39 millimeter version. And so, again, you see that increase in size. Similarly, on this thing, the Explorer II, this replaced a 40 millimeter watch. In fact, the Explorer II is upsized from the regular Explorer, which was traditionally a 36 millimeter watch, which is now a 39 millimeter watch. My point being is that watch sizes have gradually but definitively increased. That is not to say that there aren't a lot of 36 millimeter, 34 millimeter watches, that everybody can buy and wear. But what's happened is those watches have been considered, or are considered now, more unisex instead of just solely male, and that's a good thing. More people having more options is always a good thing. Ironically, I think the people that have been helped the most by the general trend towards increasing watch diameters is people like me, people that have small wrists. So my wrist size is about my wrist circumference is about 6.5 centimeters. And so, because of that, it's I'm somebody that has a small wrist. Small wrists, I have a small forearm, and anybody with a wrist with a circumference greater than 7 inches is like huge. I mean, I have wrist envy when it comes to that. But I have a small wrist. But if I can pull off a 42 millimeter, Rolex watch, I think anybody can pull off any wrist watch as long as they really like it, as long as they are confident, they own the look. You may have to make some, you may have to change around the strap. You may have to get a custom strap. You may have to fiddle around with a bracelet adjustment, but those are small prices to pay if you want to wear the watch you want to wear. The Explorer II is just like a great watch. I mean, just such a great watch, such a great underrated watch, and still something that is relatively affordable when it comes to stainless steel sport Rolex. I'll do a much more in-depth look at this watch in another video, but suffice to say, this is a great piece. Just like the 3717 is just such a great piece. But you can see that these are not small watches by any stretch of the imagination. but they're not huge watches either. And when you see them on somebody, they don't stand out as like, oh my God, that guy's wearing like a clock on his wrist. On the contrary, they look men's size. They look masculine. They look well proportioned, and you can wear it as a woman. You can wear it as a man. You can wear it if you have a small wrist, as a huge wrist, and they just look proper. I'm going to put this. I love this watch. I love the 3717 IWC Pilot chronograph. But it's just such a great watch. It's such a great iconic watch. And I love these watches, and I promise you, if I can own these, if I can wear them, if I can feel comfortable wearing these watches, anybody can. It's just a matter of getting over that sense of like seeing a million pictures on watch forums, a million questions. Is this too big on me? Is it not? And then the problem is whenever you see those pictures, the person's wrist is like jacked like this, the camera angle is weird. You have a lot of like parallax errors. And so the watch looks much larger than it actually is in real life. But if you see it on someone like me, if we pass each other on the street, you would just look at that and say, oh, hey, look, that's a cool chronograph. That's a cool IWC. It doesn't look like a plate on my wrist. So anyway, sorry, I'm rambling as always, but I thought it would be interesting for y'all to see a couple of 42 millimeter watches, from two iconic companies, and just have like a brief discussion about what is the right size for a watch. And I mean, the answer to that is it depends on the watch. It depends on the wearer. I would say that with Rolex moving their Submariner line from 40 to 41 millimeters in diameter, and that watch, by the way, wears huge. I mean, like a Rolex sub is going to wear like a traditional 44 millimeter watch. I mean, those lugs are massive on that watch. But by Rolex increasing their watch diameters, by other companies having been in that space for a long time, I think the door is wide open for people to wear just kind of what they want, just kind of what they want. Anyway, as always, I'm rambling. I hope you liked looking at these two watches, and I hope that this discussion or this video is something that you find interesting and useful. I always think it's very helpful whenever when I see a video, I actually see the watch on the person's wrist as opposed to just, somebody just kind of doing this stuff. Like if the video is most of the video, the person has the watch on the wrist, I think that's most helpful. Let me know if you agree. Anyway, as always, I'm rambling in these videos. I hope you enjoy them, and I look forward to making more content. Y'all take care. Be safe. God bless.